Show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to, I am super excited because it's actually the first episode of 2025. How are you over there, Candy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh, so glad to have you on today. Listen, everybody, grab your virtual seats. I hope y'all have missed me because I've been playing some repeat episodes and things over this holiday season, but I had a really great holiday with my family, just some time to unwind and enjoy ourselves, reconnect, play games. We played board games, Trouble and headbands, all kind of fun stuff. We just did fun stuff. How about you, Candy? Anything special that you did over the holiday?
I did enjoy time, with my family. I got to see my grandkids and, just had a little bit of downtime. So it was good. I enjoyed it.
And, I think sometimes because of all of the busyness when it comes to everyday life, and then just real life happens, things happen in life that we can never even prepare for, right?
Right.
We talked about stage. We're not going to go into all of the details of our personal stories because we had some bloops and blunder video backstage. I was cropped down sharing some things that had happened within my family that required my emergency attention. And with you, same thing. You were sharing some very intimate moments. And again, we're not revealing all of that here today, but I want you to know when you're tuning in here to the Kim Jacobs Show, where we're bringing balance to the world, one household at a time, we're also balancing our own personal lives. So it is a whole thing to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what we'll be talking about today.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're going to be talking about. So listen, you put your comments, your questions, any thoughts, responses to what Candy's going to be sharing here today. We want to hear your thoughts about everything that Candy is going to be talking about. And so I want to go ahead and just formally introduce this. Oh, great. Can you believe this? I don't have my glasses. Girl. Hold on. That's funny. If I don't have those glasses, you'd be like, Kim, that is not what that word says. Okay. Candy Messer. And am I saying it right, Messer?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Candy Messer is a profitability advisor and CLOCKWORK fractional COO, working with entrepreneurs to help them have successful businesses. It's the difference between just having a business and having a successful business. She's experienced in bookkeeping since 1998, and she understands the stresses that business owners face and offers customized services to meet their varying needs. I'm going to actually allow her to talk more about some of the things that's in her backstory because she's an author and she's a mom, she's a grandma. She's a lot of different hats that she wears, being married since 1992. So she's a long-term wife. I don't even have a picture of Garth. Oh, good gracious. Now you're going to make me search your Facebook page because I don't have a picture of Garth. What in the world? Welcome, everybody. Candy Messer to the Kim Jacobs Show. Welcome, Candy.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate, the opportunity to be here and chat with you today.
Thank you. And again, it's just a conversation, so we don't have a script or anything, but I really would like for people to give you the opportunity to hear your backstory. So if you could just take us back and let us know a little bit about who you are and what brought you to where you are today, Candy.
Sure. Well, originally I was working retail. That was my first quote unquote real job. And I had been there for almost 10 years. After I had my second child, I decided it just wasn't worth, putting both of them into childcare and, all the things. So I was at home for a few years. And then an opportunity came up where there was a preschool that needed a director to fill in. The director was, on a medical leave for multiple months and had come back and had the same issue and had to leave again. And so they needed someone to step in. And so at the time, my kids were preschool age. I was able to take them with me, do what needed to be done. And that's when I first really started helping a business, with the bookkeeping. I'd done it in school, took the accounting, but that's when I first came in and helped with the numbers. And then when that director came back, it was about 6 months later, I was thinking, well, maybe I could start working part-time again and still be at home.
Okay.
And then I started working as a full charge bookkeeper for a publishing company, which means you handle every aspect of the financial picture for the business.
That's good.
And yeah, so I did that for many years. Well, I don't know if everyone's parents are like mine, but my mom likes to brag about her kids all the time. So she was talking to her, nail technician one time about all the things that I was doing at this business. And her husband owned a business. And she said, I need help. I'm trying to help my husband. I hate reconciling accounts. Like, I will invoice the customer. I will pay the bills. I don't want to do the rest of the books and reconcile. Will you please help me? And I was like, I'm not sure. Right. And she bugged me for like 4 months, literally. And at that point, I had to get a business license. I had to buy software. I had to do all the things, to be legal. And I was like, this doesn't really cover the cost, what I'm going to get from her. So I need to bring on a few more clients. And so I did that kind of on the side of my, the job that I was doing.
Okay.
And that's how basically I got into really having my own business. It wasn't intentional. It was really because someone asked me to help. And then basically about 1.5 years later, my husband told me to quit the real job and just focus on my business because I was doing a good job. People enjoyed it. But that was scary, like give up a guaranteed paycheck to be like fully dependent on my business. But it's definitely been a great thing.
So you're glad that you made the decision, and by the pushing of your mom and asking her, she probably saw something greater in you, and she was like, "I'm going to get Candy into her true destiny," right? But
maybe so. Yeah, she just enjoys being able to share, what her kids are doing. And that's what led to, where I am now. And then having a supportive husband. A lot of people, maybe they don't have that and, or maybe they're still living in that fear, but he was able to encourage me. And he's like, what's the worst that can happen? Right. If something doesn't work out, you can always go back to work. Right?
That's good. Garth already, he's won my heart. So the thing is, how important is it to have a supportive husband? Talk about that for a few minutes, because we're talking here about how people are balancing their lives. How important as an entrepreneur is it to have a very supportive spouse?
When I first started the business too, I was doing it all myself. And when I was helping people, and then of course, as I got more clients at first, people were waiting to send their information until things had to be done every quarter, whether it was, obviously payroll returns had to be done or sales tax. And so every 3 months, it was an extreme burden on me to get everything done. And I would work, early in the morning, late in the evening. So my husband did have to help with the kids and all the things, so then we would celebrate as a family, like, yay, we survived, quarter. And that was really good. And so definitely I had to have his support, not only just to help with the family, but again, just being like, it's going to be hard at first. I'm not going to make money at first, potentially, and being okay with that. Right. So not everyone has, that support system that I had. And so I know there's a lot who are probably hearing this and saying, well, I don't have that. It's going to be harder, and it probably will be harder, but you still can do it. Right. That's the point is you might need to do the job on the side for a while until you build up your business enough, but it's definitely possible.
That's good. Very encouraging. So even if people that are watching here today, put it in the comment section. Do you have a supportive spouse, or does your spouse feel like, no, we need to be two job income generating household? And as a result of that, go get yourself a job, and all of this other stuff that you're talking about from an entrepreneur perspective needs to come after hours, after the money is made. How are you dealing with that at home in the studio audience? I'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts and your comments as well. And any questions that you have, because Candy and Garth, they seem to have really mastered this together, and him cheering her on the journey. There are many spouses, Candy, that will say, no, that's your dream. When I married you, I thought we were going to be doing this. So what advice would you even give people that may not have a supportive spouse?
It's hard to help them see the vision too, because we didn't know where this would take us. And, when I started, my husband was also working, but we decided that we were going to flip-flop roles at one point too, and I was going to be the one who was doing more of the work, and he'd have more time with the kids at home.
Okay.
And so he went to part-time at first, and then for a while he didn't work at all until basically when my kids ended up getting out of school in the long run. So there was, probably 5 or 6 years during a period of time that he didn't work at all. Then he went back, and then he was over the road truck driver for many years. And then COVID came along. He'd actually decided to stop driving for the winter, and then COVID came along, and that was just kind of crazy times. And he decided at that point not to go back at that point driving. And then we have since moved, and now we're in Tennessee, and we're close to our family here too. And so we've just decided that a regular job for him right now is not like what we want to have, right? And so it could be like, it could work for your spouse's benefit in the long run too. If you have this job that you are doing, that's your 9 to 5, you maybe aren't being able to reach your total capacity of what you are good at doing. Like there's a huge potential that is in you, right? And if you're able to go out on your own and do that, you might be way more successful than staying in that 9 to 5 job. So they might be in that fear that I was at first. Like if I give up a guaranteed paycheck, we're not going to, do as well. And so I would just say, like, cast a vision with them, have them like see the potential with you, and maybe that will bring them along to where you could attempt it. Like my husband said, what's the worst that can happen? Like if it doesn't work out, you could always go back, find something else to do.
That's good. That's good. Very good. I see comments too that's coming in. And instead of just waiting until closer to the end, I want to go ahead and address some of them and give you the opportunity to address some of them as well. So I see Rock and Curry said, no, don't have a supportive spouse. I'm a solo entrepreneur. And so even if we're not talking about spouses at all, have a solo entrepreneur. This is someone that has the dream, the vision, and they really want to see their business succeed. Any advice that you would offer someone like Robin Curry?
I would say find a mentor also who can help you, who's been there, whether they're in your industry or not, right? But a lot of people feel, I can't talk to someone in my industry because they're going to feel I'm competition and they're not going to help me out. And that's generally speaking not the case, right? So find someone who could do it. Now, my husband actually doesn't do the work of our business either. So in that case, I'm like the solo entrepreneur, right? He's not going to sit behind a computer and do all the numbers. That's not his strength,
This is your dream, not mine.
Right, exactly. So, but I would say have, whether you have friends or family, or like if you join, often you can have a group of business owners that you mastermind with, whether it's a once a month call or things like that too. Like find those people who will be your cheerleaders and have them. So even if it's not your own spouse or, family members, there are other people who are going to be out there cheering for you, and you just need to identify who they are and be able to reach out to them and get the support you need.
That's good. I'm actually glad you said that, because there are so many organizations out here that are nationwide, global, that you can be a part of. And I can tell you that I'm personally a part of an organization called eWomen Network. eWomen Network, if you all are not familiar with them, is founded by Sandra Yancey, and she is a CNN hero. She's someone that has consulted with some of the largest names in the world, like IBM, Dell, and AT&T, you name it. She has a proven track record and has established this organization. So if you all are interested in learning more about eWomen Network, please make sure, actually we have a commercial for that. Please put Kim Jacobs as the person that sponsored you and invited you. And you get 4 times a month that you'll get coached by Sandra Jensen. It's not something that you can Google. I was like, I can't Google what this lady is saying. And it is like, it's amazing, because it's 1 million women earning $1 million in annual income. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I want to talk about this whole theory. I want to talk about how you're saying, let it take care of itself. Let life and business take care of itself. Right when we return, right after this break. Thank you, Candy. This is awesome. Yay. We'll be right back, right after this break. I see Mackenzie back there. I'm not sure if I see her keep popping in and out, so I'm not sure what's happening, but I will take us to a commercial break.
Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Managing Director of the Charlotte, North Carolina chapter of eWomen Network. I am so excited that you stopped to watch this video. I've got good news for you. You've just discovered an international network of women entrepreneurs who are committed to helping you achieve, succeed, and prosper. We're on a mission here to help 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Here at eWomen Network, we have a complete success system that supports you every step of the way in building and growing your business. You being here right now is no accident. We're supposed to know about you. We want to meet you to find out how we can help you as well as learn about what you have to offer. With over 500,000 women connected through 118 chapters across the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, you are never alone. If this is resonating with you, please go to ewomennetwork.com/Charlotte. Notice too my contact information. I invite you to reach out to me and to check out our upcoming in-person and online events. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our special community.
All right, everyone. So make sure you take advantage of being a part of eWomen Network and inbox me and let me know that you did join, and I'll help connect you to your managing director in your area. So I'm super excited about it and can't wait for you to be a part of it. All right. So I know that there is this whole philosophy, the CLOCKWORK certified system, the CLOCKWORK certified system that's trademarked, and that's something that you pretty much live by. So let's talk about that if we can for a little while.
Sure. Well, this came about, interesting enough. So I have my own podcast too, and I was actually interviewing someone who's another bookkeeper like me at one point, and she asked if I had heard of CLOCKWORK. And I said no, and it's a book by Mike Michalowicz. And I was like, well, I'm very familiar with Mike Michalowicz. I've read, Profit First and, some of his other books as well. But Profit First was the most recent that I had read. And she was talking about how this teaches you how to take a 4-week vacation from your business. I was like, oh, well, that's awesome.
Right.
And then because I'd read Profit First and, I was on Mike Michalowicz's list, he'd actually sent out an email right after this interview where he was saying, like, I have revamped, my CLOCKWORK. I'm going to be issuing like a revised book. I'm looking for people to read it and then be willing to give reviews, when it comes out. And so I was like, okay, this isn't coincidence, right? To literally find out about it right after this interview. So I was like, yes, I want to read it. And I knew then I wanted to apply it into my business. And it's basically teaching you operational efficiency and how you can offload things from your own plate as the owner so that you could step away, because often we are the bottlenecks, right, in our business.
Right.
So I read it and I was like, yes, I want to implement this. And then I found out they had an accelerator program run by Adrienne Dorson, who is actually the one who had this idea. And Mike was reaching out to her and then took like her concepts and put it in the book. So they partnered together to create this company, Run Like Clockwork. And so I joined that program. While I was learning and starting to implement things, I was thinking about how many entrepreneurs were in the position I was in, where I was working a lot of hours, and many times I didn't feel it was a balance at all. And especially during the busy, crazy season times where, I'm just up at 5 a.m. and then I'm working till, sometimes 8 o'clock at night. January is another one of those crazy months, usually with everything due. But I was like, there's a lot of people like me that just are working way too much. I would love to be able to teach them what I'm learning. And after I finished the accelerator program, they decided instead of Run Like Clockwork teaching the business owners how to do it, they were going to certify people like me, to actually teach it. So I went through their certification program. I'm now that fractional COO, certified, operational officer, CLOCKWORK operational officer, however you want to call it. But it's really teaching what I learned. And it's not perfect for me yet, right? But I have implemented what they had, and they recommend, first take a week away and see what happens, and then work on fixing it, and then take 2 weeks away, right? And then 3, and then 4. So I did that.
Wait, I have to interrupt you because even as you were saying it, my eye was getting stuck because I was trying to, it's
Right.
like you only know what you know, right?
Hmm.
And so to process what you're saying, it was just like, my eye started twitching. I was like, why am I twitching over here? It's because your mind is hearing something different than what you're used to. Why
Hmm.
is that the case? Why are we so stuck on what we are stuck on knowing and not being willing to change it? I don't know.
I think one time, you may have heard where, well, no one's going to love your business as much as you. They're not going to take care of it unless you're doing it, right? So we're told all of this. So then we think we have to do all these things, to make it successful. And whether that is true or not, that doesn't mean that your employees aren't passionate about the business and helping you succeed. And I think we don't give our staff enough credit, even if we have staff, that they do want to help us succeed. They're not just wanting to show up for a paycheck. They want to have a purpose too. And so if we're able to empower them to do some of the things that we're handling, then it's growing their positions too in the company. It's giving us a bit more freedom.
Mhm.
And the whole thing is we as the owners are the bottlenecks. We might not want to admit it, but if all the questions have to come to you to answer before you can help a customer with something or determine a price for something, or, should we work with this person or not? Or, they want to know if they could get this discount. Like if everything has to come to us, right? We're holding back our own companies. So if we get out of it, then it will run more efficiently and be more successful even than if we're keeping our hands into like all of the pots.
That's good. I actually put that question over here, you guys. So just be honest about it and say if you really are the bottleneck in your own company. Is that you that she's talking about? Put it in the comment section. I confess, it's me. Oh my gosh, she's saying my name. She's speaking my language. She's stepping on my toes. Put it in the comment section, y'all, because a lot of business owners this applies to. But I can only talk from personal experience, Candy. So one of the things that happens with me, and this is a transparent moment here, is I'm like, okay, I know what I want done, but sometimes it's hard to articulate exactly how I want it done. And by the time
Right.
teaching the whole process of it being done, I'm like, oh, I could have done
Right.
this already, but I'm taking like a whole day or whatever to describe it. And I know that the people that work with me have my best interest at heart. I actually just text Mackenzie that I was like, I know you have my best interest. So I really appreciate and value the people that take the time to be a part of my program as far as the show and helping with the back office stuff. But by the time I explain some things or even have to write it or type it, and it's like, what? This is too much for me to have to do all of this. What do you recommend in cases like that?
Well, a lot of people will think that, right? And what is often true is, yes, it is going to take more time up front, right? Often we have the things in our head. It's not documented. Someone's going to have a learning curve, but we didn't know it all when we first started either, right? We had to learn it, right? So we have to realize like, it's not just us that knows how to do this. We can teach it. And so when we're saying, oh, it's just going to take longer, well, it will, but that's short-term thinking, right? Because yes, in the long term, it will take you longer to get them trained and document all the processes. But we want to think long term, like what is this going to allow us to do in our business? And, like you said, we were just talking before we went live about the situation. I also had a personal emergency arise at the worst time of the year, right? We're in January. And on December 31st, I had a plan of what I was going to be doing. I was going to, get some things done, get ready for January. And my husband got ill and I took him to the ER and I was with him, actually from December 30th. He's actually still in the hospital right now, but he's fine. Everything will be fine. But that flipped all of my plans because I wanted to be with him. And thankfully, I've been working on this in my company. So my operations manager has been handling my payroll processing since September. So I didn't have to worry about paying my staff. She handled all the invoicing because we've been handing that off. And normally I proof them before they go out. She preps them, but I'll proof them. I just told her, you know what? I need you to reach out to the staff who have those clients, have them review, make sure everything looks good, send them out, right? So I was able to just offload things. Had I not done that, and I had in my mind that it's just going to take too long to teach the payroll or the invoicing or whatever, I would have had to stop and not help, my husband through the situation he was in and deal with the work. And instead, I was able to just say, could you please just handle this for me? And they did. And then on Thursday, when we had our team meeting on January 2nd, and I was saying, I'm going to do as much as I can, but I'll also be with him. And they're like, we got you. Like, if you need to step away, step away. You know, that's where I want my people to be that I work with, to be able to know that if something comes up, if you have a family emergency, this isn't just about taking a vacation. This is, what if something happens to you? What if something happens to a family member? Can you step away and have your business run without you?
That's good. Really, really good. Okay. And the answer is what? Put it in the comment section. What will you be able to step away effectively from your business and it still operate like a well-oiled machine? And I can tell you the majority of the answers would be no. So as you all type, please feel free to type what the real answer is for you and your business. Some of you, the answer may be yes, because you already implemented some of the things that Candy's sharing, long-term versus short-term thinking. I love this. Okay. All right. So why do you think it's like so difficult for businesses to even just step away from their business to unplug for real? Is it because of what you just said, or what are some other thoughts as to why it's so difficult?
Well, I think number one is we haven't taught anyone what needs to be done, right? And documenting the processes. So, you know, set aside time. If you're doing something, you can record your screen, right? Or you can write notes as you're doing them. If you take a video or, you know, an audio file or something too, you could also have it transcribed. So it's not like you have to write everything out yourself too. And then you could modify it, because we know that transcription is not always 100%, right? But it doesn't have to be perfect at first. Let's just get things down and in a system where somebody can follow along, and then it can be updated and made, you know, more accurate if needed. But let's start getting a process put in place. And then if you start to do that, then if you have a team member, obviously you can't just hand it off right away. Like, up here, I'm just not doing this anymore. Here's what you do. So you need to work with them and show them and give them the opportunity to learn, and giving them the information they need to be able to do it. So again, part of that information is going to be the actual steps, you know, on how to do it. But you need to maybe say when this is required to be done, you know, just all the how to do things is important. But you also might have to give permission to them in software that you use. Like, for instance, when I was going to have my operations person learn payroll, at first she didn't have access to that part of the system. So I had to go in and update her permissions so she could actually go in and do the payroll. So make sure that you're giving your employees any permissions that they need in any software you use too, as well as permission to just like make a decision, you know. So you could set up some guardrails even, that you could say, well, up to a certain dollar amount, you can satisfy the customer doing whatever you think is right, you know, up to this amount.
That's good.
And then maybe after that amount, maybe you come to me with your solution, what you think is possible, and just get my approval, right? So it's not like you're just giving away everything, right? There's some guidelines.
I love it. I love that. And when I hear you talk, Candy, it immediately makes me think of other things. Like, there are some entrepreneurs that it's not that they don't understand what you're saying and understand the value of that, but they don't have the money to be able to do all of this outsourcing and pulling in. So then it leaves them in solopreneur mode longer than they would have desired.
Yep. That's the thing we often do too as entrepreneurs, is we don't necessarily know our value or how to price services. You know, when I first started my business too, I had no idea. It was just the person who had said, hey, I want your help. You know, I could pay you this much. I'm like, okay, that's more than I was doing in my other job, right? Like, I had no idea you know, how to price things. And I think we don't always feel confident, even if we're thinking like, oh, I just started my business, I'm new at this. Well, I was doing what I was starting to do as an entrepreneur for many years before I even did it. So it's not that I was new at it. I was a new entrepreneur, but I had been doing bookkeeping for years, right? I had helped a publishing company do everything in their business. So I think sometimes we doubt ourselves, or we're comparing ourselves. We see other people on social media and everything looks so sparkly and they're so great, you know, but we don't always know the background of what's going on in that story. And a lot of times people put out an image that maybe isn't accurate.
Mhm.
And sometimes we might even have someone actually tell us like we're not going to be good. I mean, I remember I was
Yeah.
relatively new in the business, and I had a client that I was helping him with his payroll, and he had like some internal help from somebody that was like a CPA that had recommended certain things to him too. So he had the CPA that had been working with him for a long time. Well, that CPA passed away.
Yes.
And so my client came to me and said, I want you to help with the bookkeeping too, not just the payroll. I want you to do it all. But this other CPA office, like basically bought these accounts and my paperwork is there. Can you go pick it up?
Mhm.
And when I went to pick it up, this gentleman who was much older than me at the time, basically looked down his nose at me and said, well, you are not a CPA. What makes you think you can do this?
Okay.
And, in that moment, of course, I felt kind of deflated, because, yes, I'm newer, but then I thought about it and I was like, but I know my stuff. I've been helping other people. I may not have the CPA title, but I don't want the CPA title. But I know what I'm doing and I can help other people. And, since then we've helped many, many, many people, with what they need to have done in their business, and they have the peace of mind to do what they love. And now we help them with their bookkeeping and payroll and sales tax and 1099s, like all the compliance that you have to do, that if you don't do it right, the government sends you a notice,
Mhm.
And so I think that happens a lot, though, that we hear other people's comments too,
Yes.
and we doubt ourselves. And so we just have to have the confidence to know, like, we are worth, charging for the services to cover the expenses and make a decent wage, to pay ourselves as well, because often as entrepreneurs, we're not really paid very much, right?
Yes.
And so that's why so many businesses actually fail, is they don't have the cash flow coming in to be able to maintain that business.
Mhm. That's good. That's good. Oh, I'm taking so many notes myself. I don't know if you all are not typing. I know I'm typing enough and over here writing enough for things that I can personally apply even to my own business. So I see different comments that came in so far. Someone said, no, I'm not at this time able to do all of the paying someone else and outsourcing. They said, no. I see, Dennis, you said delegate leadership to others. John Maxwell quote, yes, delegating leadership to others and believing in others is it's just a necessary thing in order for you to succeed and not be on an island by yourself. Uh,
Mhm.
let's see. That is very true, Rosh and Curry said as well. Very true comments that you're making.
Yep. One thing I thought of while you were saying that one comment that said, I just don't have enough right now to outsource.
Right.
I would say number one, then, potentially look at your prices too and see if you can raise your prices, even if it's for new people you start working with, and start charging more. But also look at your own time and what are you spending time on and what is the cost of that? Because often we're looking at, well, what is it going to cost me to pay someone else to do it? We're not looking at what is it costing me to do it myself. So if you're doing something and it's taking you a lot longer to do, or, you could be using that time to, network, build your relationships that brings in a client that's going to bring in a lot more revenue. The cost of you doing your own bookkeeping or your own marketing or your own, fill in the blank is whatever your normal rate is for your revenue. So you potentially could be losing hundreds of dollars an hour where you could pay someone a lot less to do that thing too. So I think you really need to look at that cost analysis and see, what is it really costing me to continue doing what I'm doing? What could I be doing with that time I free up and bringing in more revenue?
Well, how do people connect with you? Because I'm going to share it multiple times throughout the broadcast for them to connect with you. To even you're just rattling this off like just over you do this, you do this, and and you're going in, right? But there are going to be people that genuinely need your services nationwide, across the world. This show streams in 100 countries. There are people that need you, and can you work with them virtually, or is it only in your local area?
Yes, we now are really completely virtual. I used to have an office and all my staff used to come to the office. And now I have people in multiple states. I think it's like 6 states now that I have staff who are working from. And, most people can even just have that conversation with us, over the phone or, through a Zoom call or something too. But to answer your question, my website is abandp.com. It's short for Affordable Bookkeeping and Payroll. So that's one place that you could find us. learn a little bit more about our business, the services that we offer. But generally, again, it's that typical stuff you have to do in your business, but you generally don't want to. So keeping track of your books, paying staff, doing the government filings, those are the kinds of things. And then I've added this new service we started talking about, the CLOCKWORK program, where I will work with someone and start helping them implement this in their own business.
That is so good. And is it a reasonable, affordable price for people to work with you? And another question I have is it something that they have to already be Oh, I got these new earrings from this African event. And I was like they're not heavy, they're very light, but the thing just fell off. I'm like, Lord have mercy, that doesn't work. Okay. So whenever people connect with you, do they need to have a certain level of how long they've been established as a business owner, or can you take up startup organizations as well?
We can work with startups. Often when we have a startup reach out to us too, again, if they're saying like, well, I can't afford right now, and they don't want to like invest up front in a professional, often we'll do like a training even too, like, let's talk about your specific business and how should you be handling your books for your specific business. So it's not just a general search on YouTube and find like some video that's just kind of an overview, but it's not specific to you.
Okay.
So we can do that. And for payroll, like we offer full service and self-service too. So if someone needs to pay someone, but they don't want to pay like for everything, we can give you access where you could run the payroll and you could say, oh, this person worked 20 hours, in this pay period, and do the basic part. And then we can handle all the taxes and the actual reports that have to be filed. Like right now, January is when we file basically all of the quarterly and year-end returns. We can help with all of that too. So really, we want to have a conversation with that person, to learn more about their business. What are their needs? What are their specifics? We generally work with service-based entrepreneurs on the bookkeeping side. On the payroll side, we really like the smaller businesses too, where we can help you, whether you're paying just yourself, if you're an S corporation and you're supposed to have reasonable compensation as an officer, or maybe you have a couple people on your staff, we can help you with all of that.
That's really good to know. And then, so she said it, A-B and P is in Paul.com. A is in Apple, B is in boy, and P.com. I have a lot of audio listeners on iHeartRadio and Spotify and different things too. So make sure you all stay connected with her. And the phone number is 310-534-5577, 310-534-5577. And is it a free consultation or is there a fee for the
Yes. Yeah, no, there's no fee. We generally ask for some information up front. So we'll send you that questionnaire. If you reach out to us, we can send it to you. It's basically, giving us a little bit of information about yourself, your business, what are the struggles? What are the types of things you do how do you collect payment from your customers? How do you pay your bills? Do you have to collect sales tax? Like the compliance things, because our goal is keep you in compliance. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know all the things that they really need to do to even be in compliance. And so that's one of the things I want to do is help you avoid those penalties, because the government doesn't care that you didn't know. They're like, well, you should have known, So I want to help with that.
Good. That's good. And a lot of times I know people are watching today. Some may reach out to you. Some may say, I just want these free tips that this lady's on here sharing on how to balance this aspect of my life. So how do you advise for business owners and entrepreneurs to get those tasks off their plates effectively and quickly and efficiently?
Sure. I think the first thing you need to do is time tracking. And you may have heard this before, but really you should look at 3 to 5 days at least of what you're doing and literally track everything you're doing in specifics too, not just read email, right? But I was, responding to my staff who had a question, or I had a prospect that I was answering questions for, or a customer had some questions, like put that kind of detail, or I was on a call with a potential vendor who was sharing, their software and I did a demo, or I was doing work for this client, like document everything, what you're doing, how long it took. And then in CLOCKWORK, they teach you there are what they call the D's, which is doing, deciding, delegating, and designing. And then
doing,
deciding, delegating, and designing. So like doing is actually doing the general, excuse me, general work for your company, like the services you provide or what it takes to support you being able to do those. That's the doing, right? Deciding is somebody else is, maybe handed off a task, but they don't really have control enough yet to really just take it and run and give you the outcome you need. So they keep coming back and they're like, I'm not sure how to do this. What should I do next? That's when the entrepreneur gets frustrated and saying, well, I really shouldn't hand this off because it'd be faster myself, right? But we need to continue on that and helping them learn and answering those questions so that as they're learning that, now you can completely delegate. And that's where you'll say, here's this account. I need this done by this date. These are, what we expect to have happen. And you let them, take it over and actually do that work. So they're doing it instead of you doing it. So now you've just delegated that. And then designing is where, as entrepreneurs, we really should be. That's the strategic planning. What do we need to do to grow our revenue? Is there a new service we want to offer? Is there a webinar we want to create? What is it that you really should be implementing in your own company that your other staff members can't do? This is like your most valuable area. And so we want to be able to do the designing as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And so when you do your time tracking and then you identify these Ds, the next thing they have is what they call the T's, right? So is there something you can trash? So if you look at what you're doing, are you doing something just because you've done it for a while and it's just something that you do out of habit, but now that you analyze it, maybe you don't need to do it any longer.
Right.
So maybe you're on a platform that your audience really isn't on, but you continue using that platform just because you have, for the last 5 years. Sure. Maybe you could trash that task. The next one is trim. Can you do something faster? So if you just book like, oh, I'm going to have this call with my staff and it's an hour every week. Well, maybe you don't need an hour, right? Can you accomplish what you need to do in less time? And then just say, we finished. We can end early, right? And you can gain back some time through the trim. Mm-hmm. Transfer is who on your staff, or maybe you have like a virtual assistant or someone outside your company that can do the tasks that you're currently doing. And again, you'll have to teach and train or things like that too. But what can you free off of your own plate to give you more time back? And then treasure. What is it that you really love doing? And it could be like, I enjoy podcasting. I have my own, right? But I'm also doing an interview with you. Like I treasure the times that I get to talk with people, whether I'm the guest or I'm interviewing, because my goal is to educate entrepreneurs, help them be successful. And I can do that through podcasting, right? Yeah. So that's a task I treasure. So taking your time, analyzing it through all these things, then you could start to figure out how can you get things off your plate, whether it's through, trashing it, trimming it, transferring it to someone else, and you can free up your time. And over time, as you do this and you do it multiple times a year, you can identify some things that you can start to hand off to someone else. That's how I handed off payroll, and invoicing and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so I would start there and see what you can do.
Okay, so you said, let's go back. I'm big on recapping here.
Sure.
Doing, deciding, delegating, and designing. Okay.
Yes.
And then you also said for the T's,
mm-hmm.
it's trash. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Trim, transfer, treasure.
Okay. I love this. Okay. Wow, y'all. I mean, we're learning so much here today on this episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. And we are talking with Candy Messer, who's teaching us how to help your business work like clockwork so mm-hmm. that it becomes an easier, more enjoyable experience for you. And when I'm thinking about business owners, I really want to know how they can prepare financially to be able to run their businesses effectively. Any thoughts or strategies
Sure.
that you like?
Well, another thing, like I mentioned earlier, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, he actually talks about how when we are taught, the numbers for our business, we're told, you have your revenue, then you have your expenses, and what's left over is profit. And he turns that around and he says, you should plan for profit first. And so that means you'll have to reduce expenses on things. If you don't have enough money coming in, then you're going to have to figure out how you cut expenses, or you're going to have to figure out a way to like bump up your revenue. but really plan to put money aside for yourself, for, profit that you could use for other things. And you set aside different accounts. So it doesn't even just sit in one account in your brain. You're like, okay, well, part of that is going to be for my pay. He recommends, having these different accounts set up and allocating twice a month, to those accounts. And so it's funny, I had taught over the years my own clients this too, because I'd say, well, if you have sales tax every quarter, you don't want to have that payment come up and all of a sudden not have the money. And sometimes multiple payments come up in the same time. If you have an LLC or a corporation, you have to pay, a fee in April for that. Then you have your estimated tax payments to the IRS that come, and you might have sales tax. Like, it could be a big hit. So I was always telling clients, open another account and transfer money into that account that's going to cover those payments. And then when the time comes due to make those payments, you already have the money set aside. That's the concept that he has also on Profit First. So I would recommend, if you only have one bank account right now, open at least a couple. I have for myself, I have, one that's just the money comes in. So I now just call it deposits. I have one for taxes. So I have allocated every month a certain percentage that just automatically goes into that account. And when I have to make those payments, the money's already there. I have one that I call annual expenses. So I look at, I have insurance I pay once a year. I have some software fees I have to pay once a year. I look at everything I have to pay over the course of a year, and I determine what that fee is. And then I allocate twice a month an amount to go into this annual payments. And as I then purchase that, I move it into the operating account that I have. The OPEX is what they call operating expenses. So I have that, and then of course profit, and then my own, what am I going to pay myself? And I put that in there. So you don't have to start with as many as I have. I've been operating for a while and I know like what I need for my own business, but at least start one for, I'm going to pay myself. I'm going to have some money for profit. I'm going to have tax, things like that. Maybe start with some of those. And make sure that you are planning to pay yourself. Because when I first started, again, I didn't know what I should do or what I shouldn't do. I hadn't planned to be an entrepreneur. It just happened. And so I felt like at first I wasn't paying myself. Well, there's just not enough money right now. I have to pay, the rent and the insurance and the utilities and the, XYZ. And I definitely didn't pay myself like I should have. So do what you can to pay yourself, even if it's a very small amount at first, even if it's a couple percent off the top, start there and then slowly like add another percent and then add another percent, and reallocate.
I'm typing what you're saying to also pay yourself. I'm a big note taker. And so if you all are not capturing this, the notes, I'm taking them for you, but I recommend you take your own notes because when you're typing it, it makes a different, it kind of registers with you differently. So you said set up a separate account to pay your required fees and taxes and things, but then also to pay yourself, set up an account where you have things. Now, someone asked the question, and please ask all of your questions. I appreciate you asking your questions, Dennis. Hopefully that will make your business run smoother. He says, do you set up automated payments?
Yes. So there's an account, and I wish I had found out about it, a little bit earlier. It's a newer bank account. It's only been out for a couple of years, but there's an account called Relay, and you can set up allocations for it to do automatically. You might also have in your own bank accounts right now that maybe it's possible. But this account, also Mike Michalowicz partnered with this bank to use the Profit First concepts. And so you can go in and you can say, twice a month. So I personally do the 10th and the 25th of the month. And I say, based on whatever comes in the bank, I want to leave a certain amount in the deposits account just in case, like I have to, like, it's very rare, but like, let's say I have to refund somebody something, then I just have some money left in that account in case something comes up. And then I just say, I want so much to go to the operating account, so much to tax, so much to owner draw, so much to annual, so much to, the profit. Well, I don't remember which ones I missed, but I have multiple accounts. Right. And so I just want to make sure that happens, and I don't want to have to manually transfer it. So it will do that for me on the 10th and the 25th automatically.
This is so good. This is such helpful information. Anybody, put it in the comment section whether you're learning something, one nugget that you can apply to your business today based on Candy Messer being here. And I see you, Flossie. I see you, Patrick. I see you, Rev Prince. I see you, Virginia Rutherford Hall. I see you, Monwar. I see all of you on different platforms. I like to acknowledge people, but because we're on so many different platforms, I don't get a chance to personally say everyone's names. But I just want to thank you all for making the Kim Jacobs Show what it is today. Without your participation, we could not be now streaming on Roku and Amazon TV and Spotify TV and all the Google stuff, all kind of stuff, you name it. You can see yourself. You'll see this episode on television on the Kim Jacobs Show under CTR Media Network. So if you haven't downloaded the CTR Media app on Roku or all of those streaming stations, please make sure you do so, because you can download the Kim Jacobs Show under the self-improvement episodes that are there. And you'll be able to just start watching the Kim Jacobs Show in addition to the 100 countries and 300-something million households, all of that stuff. Thank you, CTR Media Network, for now allowing us to be on Roku as well. And let me take a moment to invite you. We are always looking for partners that believe in the Kim Jacobs Show. So if you have not taken a moment, you can screenshot, but make sure Candy and I are smiling first, because sometimes people will post it on their pages and I'm looking sideways crazy. So let's smile, Candy. Okay, so if you're going to be screenshotting, please don't put me on there any kind of way. Encourage your friends and your family and your coworkers. We never charge our guests to be a part of our program because we want this information to just get out to the world. And so thank you, Candy, for being here today. But I encourage you, if you're tuning in, to pour into the Kim Jacobs Show. And I'll see when you do send funds. When you send the funds, we will send a shout out and say thank you on one of our broadcasts, on one of our live broadcasts. I always like to thank Allison Skeet and Lisa Thomas and Wayne Van and different ones of you that already pour into the Kim Jacobs Show, the Davises, all of you that already send contributions. My mom is a faithful contributor to the Kim Jacobs Show. My friend, my bestie, Sean Hall. Thank you all, because they always pour into the Kim Jacobs Show. So thank you. And if you'd like to be one of our new partners in 2025, take a moment to send a Cash App. I say Cash App so that you'll know and hear it on the audio. It's $ Kim Jacobs Inc. $ Kim Jacobs Inc. And no amount is too small. It's all greatly appreciated, and it allows us to provide this quality programming to you Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We don't have all production paid for. It's only paid for through community contributions. So please send a contribution today. All right, let's keep it moving. I am seeing so many different things and angles that we can talk about here. I saw some pictures. I don't even know. I went on your Facebook page, so I just tell me some of these people. What is going on here? What is this?
Oh, that was Camp Clockwork. It was the first time they had done that, but they said we want business owners to go and have fun. And Mike Michalowicz actually went one day just to talk a little bit too about implementation. And so this was after we did like a leadership experience together, and so this was part of the people who attended the Camp Clockwork in November or October in Nashville.
Well, no, I was talking about board games and stuff, and I saw this on your page too, and I thought that's like an epic picture. Y'all are playing games.
Yeah, we had fun, because we did do business things, but we also just had fun together, and we were building relationships, and we just had a great time. A lot of us work, and we don't have the fun, and that was the point of Camp Clockwork is, well, let's work on our businesses, but let's have some fun too.
That is so awesome. I think anytime entrepreneurs can get together and fellowship and do exactly what you just did in that picture, it adds a different level of, I want to support your business. I want to see it grow, right?
Right.
That's what I think happens, at least with eWomen Network. It's all about giving first and sharing always. So we're always asking, what can I do to help your business become better,
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this picture too. I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's Mike Michalowicz. So he's the author of so many books, Profit First, like I said, Clockwork, All In, Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, Fix This Next, Get Different, So anyway, it was fun to see him again in person. I actually got to meet him one other time where he invited those who had actually reviewed his book to come to his home, have a great little get together. And I think only 5 of us went, but it was fun to be able to see him again.
I'm so glad that you did that and that you're a part of this clockwork system and how it's working so effectively for you. I saw your husband.
There you go. Yes.
I found him.
That was right after we bought our property here and moved. And we used to live in California, and, like houses right next door. Originally, our final place we lived was actually an apartment building. And then we had space, and that was
back there.
That was the end of November, so you don't have as much green, trees. So we get to have the seasons now too, right? Even right now, as I look out the window, I see snowflakes starting to fall a little bit too. So we get winter, summer. So yep, that's my husband.
I love you, Garth, already.
That's the little monkey in the background too. I don't know if you know, my husband loves monkeys, and so we took a picture with the little monkey in the background.
You know what? That's so funny that you pointed that out, because that's why it's so important to take a moment to just enjoy the small things. And sometimes we overlook those if you're just rushing through. Let me just pop the picture. What's in the background? Who did you see that in the comment section? Let me know. Did you see that monkey until she mentioned it? I hadn't seen, Wow, that's important. So we're looking just at the happiness on your faces. In the background is something that brings him even more joy, which is a monkey, something that he's like, hey, capture the moment.
Exactly.
And even in this picture, look at the beauty of the sky, and even like you said, the different seasons and the leaves falling, and it's a picture perfect moment if we really analyze what's going on in life. Anyway, I saw this too. Please tell me.
Oh yes, that was my daughter's wedding. So that's now almost 8 years ago, but I thought, well, I could show our core family, there. And now that my daughter's given me 3 grandchildren, so that's been exciting. They're right now 5, 3, and 1.
Well, I don't have pictures of the grandbabies, but it's okay. I captured that. I got as many pictures as I could. So congratulations. How does it feel being a grandmom?
I love it. It's amazing. And to see the growth, it's one thing when you're a parent, you're in the midst of just raising kids and you're exhausted and, just trying to do all the things,
Right.
When you have your grandkids too, and you get to, teach them different things or just play with them and have a great time and really just enjoy the moment and not worry about all the things, that you have to do. It's wonderful.
Oh, congratulations. I'm not a grandmom yet. I'm a mom of 5 children, which I'm so on. Like, motherhood for me is it's like my greatest joy. I'm like so excited about the fact that God would lend these people to me and assign them to me. So it's like I'm actively involved, even, and I don't know why people think that when you have adult children that, okay, now you want to, like, no, I am still involved. And don't get me wrong, if God sends someone that's going to be my new soulmate person, then I'd be like, y'all got this, kids. I'll be going to go on our date, right? But no, I'm being silly, but I'm just really honored to be able to enjoy being a mom and helping them at different phases of their journey. Now they need help with, like, sometimes finding an auto mechanic shop or something with college. Mom, can you get on 3-way with me with the finance department? I'm like, absolutely. Or can you get on with the doctor's office? I'm like, put me on 3-way. Tell them that you need permission for your mama to speak. And I just, go in still not taking over, but just assisting them the way they need me.
Right.
So how do you feel, or advice you would give as a business entrepreneur, but also managing a family, because you do that as well?
It's hard, because again, if we are trying to run a business and have it be successful and investing our time, I think a lot of times we start businesses thinking, yeah, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Like, yeah, we'll work like we did our job, and then we'll have our life, and as entrepreneurs, that doesn't often happen, right? Often it takes more of our time and resources than we expect. And then we feel overwhelmed because we're in this cycle of, well, we have to continue working to generate the revenue so I could pay my bills, and things like that. And so that's why, as I, was going through the Clockwork program again too, and realizing, like, I have been working a lot and I don't get to always do the things I want to do. And what if something happens? I've got aging parents and I've got a mother-in-law now who lives alone. And what if something happens? And I don't want to be the bottleneck where I can't step away and help. And that's why I had this passion. I'm like, well, people might not think that bookkeeping and, becoming this operational efficiency person go together, but I think they really do. Right. And so I can help you, figure out how to run your business financially, more effectively, but I also can teach you how to get things off your plate to free up your time. And like I said, it's not perfect for me yet, but I have been able to step away and test the business and have my staff take over on things. And then we come back, whether it's the 1 week or 4 weeks, how did things go? Like, what challenges came up that you weren't sure, were you doing it correctly? Let's talk about that. And then let's put something in place, and then let's test it again. And so I probably will step away for just another week or so in February, just to see what else comes up, but it's just try it and keep moving forward. And it's a long process. You can't think that I'm just going to read Clockwork, I'm going to implement, and, next month I'm going to be able to step away and take a vacation. You have to be able to implement things, and it takes time, but keep trying, right? What's the worst that can happen if something, is working and then something happens because a staff member changes? Okay, so you step back one step, but then you start implementing again, right? And so keep striving instead of just saying it's too hard, I'm not going to be able to do it. Well, do one thing, like we talked about the time tracking. I forgot to mention too, I already have the tool ready. If someone wants it, they could reach out. I could send them the link. It's a free download, and, you can follow that through testing, things in your business. What can you do? That's one of the things. Just try something, start, and then add one more thing, right? Don't feel overwhelmed. You have to do it all at once.
And that free guide that you have, I put it in the comments section for you all. It's a financial lingo guide, and you can actually go to that bit.ly link and download that. And also you can sign up for Candy's newsletter through this bit.ly link that I'll put over in the comment section as well for you all again. So it's no excuse for you as a business entrepreneur not to know how to thrive if you're getting free advice that Candy's able to give you, and then also being able to hire her company to work on your behalf. So you can stay connected with her again. Tell them how they can stay connected with you.
Sure. So again, our website is abandp.com. You also can find me on LinkedIn. I think that's, the platform that I do the most for the business side. I do have a Facebook, page too. But for business connections, I think LinkedIn, I share a lot of information there too. And I would love for you to check out my podcast too. It's called Biz Help for You. And my goal is, again, educate entrepreneurs so, they can be successful, because too many people start businesses and then they fail. And I want to change that.
That's good. I'm going to put your podcast up here again too. But even though I did put it over in the comment section, I want y'all to know, go and subscribe to her. Find it here. Yeah, go subscribe to Candy Messer's YouTube channel, which is right there, youtube.com/C/Candy Messer, MESSER, Candy Messer. And subscribe to her podcast and check out all of the episodes that she has. And she's clearly a wealth of knowledge and information, plus just a beautiful spirit over there and a loving individual who cares about her family, her business, and your business. So you can't help but win by connecting with Candy Messer. Candy, I think this has just been an enjoyable experience. And I also heard through the grapevine that your husband will never buy store-bought bread again if he can help it.
Yes. He loves sourdough. That's been fun.
Yeah. So what happens? He bakes something.
So I decided once we moved, you showed that picture of us in our home, and I was like, oh, I need to try a few things. I want to learn how to garden. I couldn't really do that before. And I was like, well, maybe I should make sourdough. So I created the starter from scratch, started baking last October. Yeah. And almost every weekend we'll bake. And he told me, like, this is amazing. I never want to buy bread again. So
that's such a compliment, I actually,
even when I think they're not so great, at first when you're trying, maybe it doesn't come out the same. It doesn't look as perfect. Like I said before, we compare ourselves sometimes to other people, and they'd be like, oh, it doesn't look like that. He's like, it tastes great.
It tastes wonderful, Candy. Leave it alone. I'm happy. Well, I'll tell you a quick funny story. I was actually over the holidays baking from scratch for the first time. I never baked from scratch either. And I made a cream cheese pound cake. I was so excited about it. But right in the middle of making the pound cake, my friend Sean, my bestie, called. And I stepped away. I left the blender in and I stepped away and talked to her. I came back, Candy, and I forgot to put 3 cups of all-purpose rising flour. Oh, it was like a souffle, and I still tried to encourage my family to eat it. They were like, They said it has a good taste, Mom, but it's not done properly. So I tried to add the flour into it as it was already kind of cooked, and that was worse. The next day, I redeemed myself, Candy, because I was able to make the most perfect, and I'm not even exaggerating, it was delicious cream cheese pound cake. They ate it within an hour. So now they think I'm like this baker.
The thing is, just enjoy it, right? Have fun. It may not always be perfect, but you know, you're spending time and you're showing your family you love them.
Yes, it was a lot of time and effort and fun, because to see the joy that it brought to them. Okay, so we have talked about a whole wide variety of things. I'm trying to make sure that I didn't hear. I saw this, and we're going to bring closure to this. But the guide to the 1099 processing. What do you want to say about that?
Once again, my goal is really to keep people in compliance, and a lot of people don't understand the 1099 reporting, and now there's multiple forms. Before, you used to have one form really that most businesses had to do. Now you might have to have two different ones. And so if you are confused, you don't know, should you, submit forms, who do you have to pay, who do you have to report that you paid, payments to? I have this free guide that talks about, really who is subject to being reported, what form do you use? What if you made a mistake and you filed with the IRS and then you find out there was a mistake? Like, how do you fix it? So this is a free guide that you can just download.
Wow. You cannot go wrong by just literally getting a free consultation with Candy Messer. And I also saw this Business Success with Ease. I don't want to disconnect without saying something about that as well.
Sure. So that was the first book I ever participated in. And I wrote on 10 mistakes business owners make and what you can do to avoid them. One of them is actually talking about 1099s, but this chapter was written before the IRS changed the form. So I only talk about the MISC form. Now there's the NEC form. But yeah, that's a book available. If you go to my website too, you just look under book and you can actually purchase it. You could get it in like a Kindle version, a PDF version, or the soft cover, book. But as a 1099 guide, just remember that those are due. If you have any independent contractors, you paid $600 or more, not by a credit card, it's due January 31st. So please make sure you get those filed on time and avoid those penalties.
And try not to wait until like the day before to reach out and say, I have to get this. What do you mean you have other clients?
Right.
Cut the people some slack, y'all, and give them a chance to get it done in a timely manner. So if you haven't already reached out to your CPA or to Candy or someone like that, then make sure that you go ahead and do that this week, okay? And usually if you can provide that information, to my understanding, at least this is how it works with me and my person, if I can provide the details with all of the information, it makes it a lot easier. The person that I gave the information to, their name, social security number, their address, how they, so that the 1099 can get sent directly to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So y'all can't go wrong. It's January 2025. If you're watching this as a replay right now, today's date is January. What's today's date?
7th.
January 7th. Yeah, January 7th. So make sure that if you're watching at a later time, it's never too late to connect, because I sometimes will do repeat episodes during the holidays. I do want to let you all know that we have some great episodes coming up this week. So tomorrow, this is Thursday. So Thursday, let me go in order. Hold on real quick. Let me go in order here. Tomorrow we have Don't Quit Before the Miracle Happens with Cassandra Marie. We're all under construction, y'all. And this woman is going to come in and share a powerful message of how she didn't quit before the miracle happened. And then on Thursday this week, we also have Kay, who's going to be coming in as a best-selling author, talking about resiliency at its finest. So you don't want to miss these episodes at 11 o'clock a.m. And on Friday, if you already know the Kim Jacobs Show, you know that we bring in our Freestyle Friday experts. We usually have about 20 or 30 or so. And Candy, you can definitely be added to the panel of experts here. And every Friday, we bring some in. These three are going to be talking about how to accomplish your goals in 2025. So you're going to hear from our sunshine expert, Athena. You're going to hear from Natasha Halliday, who is our mental health expert. And you're going to hear from Sharon D. Brown, who is our self-care entrepreneur expert here on the Kim Jacobs Show. So y'all be in your virtual seats, and we're going to be adding this lady, biz help for you with Candy Messer. She might become one of our Freestyle Friday experts, teaching us about how to deal with affordable bookkeeping and payroll, because all of us as entrepreneurs need that. So hopefully you'll be one of our experts too. Final thing is a happy birthday to Eddie Maddox. Eddie Maddox is actually one of our church members. I'm a new pastor, and so I am super excited to be able to just send a shout out to Eddie Maddox. He is faithful at Promise Fellowship Church, always on his post. Recently celebrated a year of sobriety. And so I know that's not what today's episode is even about, but to be able to put him up on the screen and show what God is doing through his new life. I just celebrate you today, Eddie Maddox, and thanks for everything that you do at Promise Fellowship Church. All right. Closing comments from you, Candy. Let's get ready to get off this good show.
I would just say, as an entrepreneur, there's a lot that can be overwhelming, for us to be able to be successful. And my goal is really just get the help that you need, whether it's me or someone else, have that person that can assist you, and find a mentor. Again, if you need to have someone to guide you, have that support that you need, because being an entrepreneur is hard, so you definitely want to have the support that you need.
Yes. Yeah. Please take advice from Candy. She is so passionate about it. You can hear it just coming through her pores. And so this isn't something she's just reading from a book. It's something she's living, and she's teaching and committed to helping other entrepreneurs know how to succeed as business. I have one final question, because this is plaguing me, and I've sent it out to people, but there's this form, the beneficial
yes.
form. Please, let's not get off. I've seen so many different updates as of December 26th. It was saying that you did not have to do
crazy.
Please tell us something, because you would.
Yes. So yeah, December became very crazy with that. So beneficial ownership reporting is basically if you had formed an entity that reported, to the state originally, like filed through the state. So partnerships, LLCs, S corporations, etc. So originally you had to file by January 1st. If you didn't, it was a $591 penalty per day. Then there was a court in Texas that basically stopped that deadline. It didn't overturn the law. It just said that deadline is not, going to be enforced at this point.
Okay.
Then there was an appeals court that reversed the court case that said, no, it's actually going to be January 1st. And then FinCEN is who you report to, said, well, we'll give you to January 13th. Then that Court of Appeals reversed its own decision. And so now it's technically on hold again. The law has not changed yet. It just means the deadline is not in effect at this moment, but you should be prepared to file, and you might want to still file now. So it's not like last minute, because it's going before the Supreme Court. And if it is found that this law is valid and that, yes, they have every right to know who owns the corporations and have you report,
right,
the time to file could be very short. It could be within a couple weeks. And then if everyone reaches out to people like us who do help file, we're not going to have the capacity to help every single person that reaches out. And so let us help you now. If you want help, you can do it on your own. You don't have to pay someone like us to do it. You can go to the FinCEN site.
I'm going to interrupt you. I went on there were so many forms and so many links, and I was like, who could do this in a day without really understanding the process? You better get the help from a professional. Get the help.
So we can help with filings if people want help with that too, but it's been very confusing with all the back and forth. Right now, just to say, the deadline is not enforced, but once it is, it's $591 per day penalty for not filing. So we're happy to help you if you want.
Okay. Well, there you have it. That's a drop the mic moment. I'm glad I asked that final question, because I need the answer to that. So thank you all so much for tuning into the Kim Jacobs Show. If you have not already supported us, it's scrolling on the screen ways that you can be one of our partners and donate today. I will call your name out during one of our episodes this week. So please go ahead and send your contributions. We greatly appreciate it. Candy, thank you for being my special guest today. You are more than a joy. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation. I had a great time.
And I want you to know that I'm praying for Garth and asking God to restore him back to great health and allow him to be better than he was even before he went in.
Thank
you.
You.
Same with my mom and some things that have been going on with her. I just want you all to keep my mom in prayer. She's doing fine, but I just am praying for her to have a great outcome in her life as well. All right. All right, everybody, that's today's episode. I absolutely love you all. Thank you for this opportunity to serve as your balanced doctor. Don't take it for granted at all. And I am honored to go on this journey called life with you all. Have a great day, everybody. And I will see you all soon. Stay backstage if you can for 1 minute, okay? And we're going, oh, hey, I want to let y'all know, too, on Thursday, January 16th, we have a speaker. Trina Sherman is going to be speaking at our local eWomen Network event. I'm going to pop that in the comments section for you to go ahead and register if you want to connect with other entrepreneurs. She's going to be talking about how to be uniquely you in your own business. So you don't want to miss the opportunity to come and network with us in person at the Brownstone Signature Events venue on, I'm going to put that right here, network.com, and put Charlotte. This is a Charlotte, North Carolina event, but if you're interested in other locations, I can connect you to your managing directors too. All right, everybody, that's today's episode. I'll see you again tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on The Kim Jacobs Show. Have a great one, everybody. Thanks, Candy.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you and make it a great day.